I would say Benavidez, but he's too, you know, that weight class is too high for him. So, you know, where he's at now is great.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
And Terence Crawford.
No.
No, I ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts?
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts.
Coach Brian Bomack. McIntyre stirred controversy after the fight when asked about Turki Alalshikh floating the idea of Terence Crawford facing David Benavidez next. Bomack shut it down immediately, making it clear that Crawford has nothing to gain from taking that kind of matchup right now. He explained that at this stage of Crawford's career, the focus isn't on unnecessary risks or size disadvantages, but on fights that truly make sense for his legacy, timing, and long-term health. His response sparked debate because while fans see Benavidez as an exciting challenge, Bomack views it as a dangerous fight that offers little reward compared to the risk involved.
We need to sit for a minute and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
Honest? Absolutely.
And he don't want none.
He also told fans plainly that a matchup with Boots Ennis wouldn't offer Canelo much value, stressing that Terence Crawford operates on an entirely higher level than Ennis.
Performance prove about the Ennis sparring. You guys were largely
I told you it don't make no difference. Didn't I say it? I said that don't mean shit. I don't give a damn about that. I said that, didn't I? In one of those interviews, I said that. Don't mean shit. Because he's no Bud Crawford. I'm not taking nothing from Ennis, you know, Bozy, them over there, them my guys. Shit, but bringing in that, which is good for Canelo, but it didn't do no good in the fight.
The whole David Benavidez discussion kicked off when Turki Alalshikh, a key power broker in Saudi boxing, shared a post just hours after Terence Crawford's major win. He praised Crawford for his landmark victory and for capturing the undisputed super welterweight championship, pointing out that he became the first boxer to unify titles across 3 weight divisions. He also showed appreciation to Saul Canelo Alvarez for putting on a strong performance. Then he sparked immediate online debate by questioning whether David Benavidez could still safely make the 168-pound limit. Later, Greg Hackett responded to the sudden buzz around a potential Terence Crawford versus David Benavidez matchup. He clarified that no firm decision had been made and that it wasn't connected to any earlier fight plans, suggesting the chatter was driven more by financial interest and publicity than by competitive balance. Hackett also noted that Crawford doesn't need Benavidez to stay relevant and cautioned that cutting back down to 168 after competing at 175 could seriously damage Benavidez's body.
That's his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 174.
Hackett went on to say that the exchanges between Crawford and Benavidez were largely blown out of proportion. He felt that Turki Alalshikh was leveraging the speculation as a way to highlight his promotional savvy. Still, Hackett noted that matchups can be genuinely thrilling when they're driven by the sport itself rather than pure spectacle.
He does have some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68 and he was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm.
One major question surrounding Crawford was whether he could successfully step up to a heavier weight class. While many labeled him a 4-division world champion, that description wasn't completely precise. Sean Showtime Porter, a boxing commentator and YouTube analyst, has frequently questioned whether Crawford's resume truly warrants the level of praise it receives. Critics have long argued that he hasn't consistently faced elite opposition or fully tested himself against the very best in the sport.
Is top 4 greatest fighters of all time. Do you understand how improbable this is? I thought Bud had no chance. I lost 20 grand. Not only is Terence Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, like I've said, if he were to win, because the probability of him winning against all the odds I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how at all.
The narrative overlooked the positive significance of the historic bout, instead focusing on how one of boxing's biggest names appeared heavier and out of sorts. Crawford, however, succeeded in forcing even his harshest critics to rethink his impact. In the hours following the fight, Chobus documented that shift on video, ensuring it wouldn't be forgotten.
That guy, he can face anybody in history and be a problem. Him right there. Not only that, I think this cements the fact that everybody avoided him. This right here answers everything. Not only is Terence Bud Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, but everybody avoided him. And that sheds more light on how he beat Errol Spence.
Crawford set his sights on becoming the first fighter to capture all 4 major titles across 3 separate weight divisions, which required moving up to 168 pounds and unifying the belts there. No boxer has ever completed that task. So while Crawford wasn't technically an undisputed champion in 4 divisions, his achievements were still extraordinary and set him apart from the rest. Many fans were taken aback when Canelo Alvarez spoke candidly at the post-fight press conference following his majority decision loss to Crawford. Rather than avoiding the topic, he openly praised Crawford and acknowledged that he was the superior fighter.
Compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Veteran boxing reporter Dan Rafael offered his take on the Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez matchup. Drawing on decades of experience covering the sport, Rafael said he was most impressed by Crawford's command of the fight in the later rounds. He pointed out that Canelo had the stronger moments early on.
Great job. I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant...
Rafael's remarks emphasized just how historic Crawford's win was in the boxing world. He explained that, although Crawford hadn't pursued this fight aggressively, it was about he genuinely wanted and worked diligently to arrange. Rafael also pointed out that Crawford seldom got chances against bigger names, as many assumed such matchups were improbable.
He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me, knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument that he's the greatest Mexican of all time, even more than Chavez. That said, he is in decline. He's been in decline for the last few years. He hasn't been what we've seen him at his best since he beat Caleb Plant, that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Sanders time frame. And, even though he's winning fights, the knockouts haven't happened. He's gotten tired in the later part of the fights, and it's just common. It's the oldest saying in boxing: "Father Time is."
Renowned boxing journalist and ringside analyst Sean Zittel spoke about Terence Crawford's growing prominence following his victory over Canelo Alvarez. Zittel mentioned that he has always regarded Crawford as an outstanding fighter. Back in 2017, he even ranked Crawford as the top pound-for-pound boxer, though he had never included him among the sport's all-time legendary figures.
Crawford, #1 pound for pound back in 2017. I always acknowledged him as the best counterpuncher in the game, one of the great counterpunchers. But I didn't see him as Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson. I didn't see him as that. I saw him as the tier of greats right below that. Oscar, Shane, Mike McCallum, guys like that. And it turns out, no, he's with the best of the best.
Zittel went on to critique certain elements of Crawford's approach in the fight with Canelo. He observed that Crawford handled Canelo's power with ease, showing a level of durability rarely seen at this weight. Zittel also noted that Canelo lost his rhythm as the fight progressed, while Crawford started the 3rd and 4th rounds with his jab and steadily seized complete control of the bout.
On Crawford, I know Crawford felt it, but he had good punch resistance. He came up in weight beautifully. And then as time went on, his jab and his length, it's around that 3rd and 4th round, really started to give Canelo fits. And then #1, his bread and butter, his gift. Yes, he's got great tactics, great distance control, efficient footwork. He doesn't, and he took the air out of the ball when he wanted to in this.
Before the bout, It was obvious that Canelo Alvarez would try to use his size, experience, and strength to his advantage. Fans were intrigued because Canelo was already a seasoned champion who knew how to handle pressure, even at super middleweight. After his loss to Terence Crawford, Canelo took to Instagram to speak to his fans. He didn't make excuses, but accepted the defeat and reflected on what lay ahead. He expressed pride in his team's hard work, acknowledged the sacrifices they had made, and showed gratitude to family and friends who had always supported him. He gave special thanks to his wife, Fernanda, for standing by him. In his message, he noted that while winning is always the goal, he was prepared to learn from the loss and felt victorious in the love and support of those around him. Meanwhile, the seasoned and triumphant Terence Crawford displayed an unusual flash of anger during the post-fight press conference. He snapped at a reporter who had criticized him and appeared irritated by fans mocking the situation. This fight was more than just a contest. It was Crawford confronting the narrative the media had constructed about him over the years.
A 3-time undisputed champion, the first ever in the 2, 3, or 4 belt era, and you became the second undisputed champion in 3 weight classes when there was only one champion back in 1938 with Henry Armstrong. That's a lot of stuff.
You hear that? You hear that?